Hey, Rainy Joe here, and this is 1001 Reviews, where I plan on listening to every single album from 1001 albums to listen to before you die. And today we are looking at Iggy Pop's 1977 album, The Idiot. According to the book, Iggy Pop's The Idiot, recorded in 1977, was released under the RCA label, produced by the legendary David Bowie, with art direction from Andrew Kent, nationality USA, with a running time of 38 minutes and 36 seconds. The Idiot by Iggy Pop is, and I mean this in every sense of the word, a masterpiece. Even though this is an Iggy Pop record by name, don't let this completely fool you, as it is far more a David Bowie record than it is an Iggy Pop record. Rather, David Bowie on this one feels like he is using Iggy as the performer. Much of this album was actually made with Bowie's direction, Bowie's instrumentation, and Bowie's production that really morph it into a more Bowie-centric lane, with Iggy providing the vocals and the lyrics. Made in the Berlin era of Bowie's career, this album was written and recorded alongside David Bowie's Low, another masterpiece that I will talk about one day when I get to it. But The Idiot is often regarded as the beginning of David Bowie's Berlin trilogy, or a prequel of sorts. It's almost like a bridge or a stepping stone for David Bowie, going from his last album Station to Station to his next album Low, and this is wedged right in between it, feeling like a melding of those two stylings, but with a lot more of Iggy's style as well mixed into it. However, for me, if anything, this album actually feels a lot more like David Bowie's Heroes, which came out just after Low, and is almost like the premature child of Heroes, which is not at all a bad thing. In fact, it's a very, very good thing. The production on this album, with every single track, is extremely clean and blunt, by being simplistic yet very abrasive and industrial in tone, contrasting the simple but noisy. It's like an incredibly polished, well-produced album that is overlaid with a raw filter. Intentionally raw, but not in a bad way. It's not a raw or poorly produced album. In fact, it is incredibly well-produced, but intentionally made to sound rough, which is something I have a lot of respect for, and I love to hear it in albums such as In Utero by Nirvana. But this really rough aesthetic really gives off to the overall moody and ominous atmosphere that this album encapsulates. And speaking of this atmosphere and this style, Iggy Pop's vocals and Iggy Pop's delivery of these vocals are very much indicative and further explore this style of just raw, unfiltered emotion. Iggy's attitude is something that is uniquely his, and something that Bowie would not have been able to do himself, because Bowie's personality is far more explosive and far more expressive, while Iggy is much more cold, calculated, blunt, and just doesn't really give a fuck about anything. And so this very direct attitude perfectly pairs with the uncaring and rough atmosphere of this album. Just this zero care to life attitude is something that this album specifically needs to flourish as wildly as it does. On most of the tracks, especially songs like Nightclubbing or Dum Dum Boys, Iggy gives a very direct and groggly-like performance that is pairing with this dark atmosphere that I speak of. He's very gritty alongside the instrumentation here. And my apologies for going back to Bowie once again, but Bowie is all over this entire album. He serves as backup on some of the songs, especially on the song Funtime, where he just soars over the instrumental. You can really hear him more than anyone else on the album. Bowie also provides piano work on the song Nightclubbing. His incredible saxophone capabilities are also explored greatly on the song Tiny Girls, just taking up much of the track's intro and outro, while Iggy himself speaks about how all women in his eyes end up being the same. Doesn't matter if they are younger or older. At this point, he's kind of accepted that none give him any more excitement, and there's no more mystery to these girls, as they all just serve the same purpose to him in the end. And with Bowie all over this album, it is very much a huge plus to Iggy Pop's performance. Much of this album is also built upon gradual, slow build-ups, especially with the song Mass Production, the last one on this album. You have what is an 8-minute epic track of proto-punk and industrial sound. But this is very much proto-industrial. Don't forget that, as this is before industrial music would take off to its full effect. As this 8-minute sound collage of music that is mass production builds, you get these long, droning-like horn effects, funky synth sounds, and Iggy's disturbing vocal delivery, kind of just telling a story rather directly, while all three of these things compete with one another and combat one another and mesh in a way that is abrasive and shocking and overall just super intriguing and ambitious. Mass production to me actually kind of parallels David Bowie's song Station to Station, which is a 10-minute track of continually building effects as well. So the structure of just building block by block is something that is repeated from Station to Station on mass production and is a huge plus because Station to Station is an amazing song. Sorry for digging into David Bowie, but I'm a huge fan of David Bowie, which you will come to know if you continue to watch this channel. But anyway, mass production is just perfect in every way, and the atmosphere of the song overall really just adds so much to the album. There's also the track China Girl, which was later covered by David Bowie in the 80s, but in my opinion, the Iggy version of the song is far superior than the Bowie version, which I am not much of a fan of, to be honest, because Iggy's delivery is just much more soaring and much more blunt and coarse and rough, and I think that gives a lot more to the track than Bowie's later more explosive personality that gives off to it, and Iggy's is just better for it. But even with this gradual, slow-building track list, you get songs like Sister Midnight, the opener, and songs like Baby, which are just far more explosive and direct in tone, and are more groovy, which give a nice balance to the album as well, so it doesn't feel too long or too daunting. The runtime of this album is just extremely well paced in every aspect, and the track list is sorted in a way that none of it feels too long or overbearing in its 38 minutes. But even with the funky and upbeatness of Sister Midnight and Baby, they are still covered and slathered in this grimy effect that the album is going for with its production techniques, which is a huge plus in my book. And honestly, David Bowie working through Iggy Pop is something I wish we got more of in their heyday, as it is something that comes together in a way that is just a absolute power duo. These two together make some of the most incredible music I've ever heard, in my opinion, and is up there with the best of the best. This album overall is super sketchy and disturbed, and feels as if it was just written and recorded in an alleyway at 2 a.m. in the morning, and you're there every step of the way with a needle in your arm. And as awful as that sounds, it is extremely enjoyable with its grittiness that it just brings to the table. And with that all being said, The Idiot by Iggy Pop soft rating comes in at a 10. This is the first time ever I've given something a soft rating of a 10, and the hard rating, of course, also comes to a 10. This is the highest regarded album so far out of the 20 or so albums I've listened to. I absolutely love everything, and I don't think there is a single second or a single minute wasted in this entire track list. And its proto-industrial and post-punk genres that it kind of melds into is also very important in the grand scheme of things as well, in my opinion. So of course, this gets a E for essential, definitely worth the listen, perfect album, perfect power duo. Go ahead and listen to this one. Please do. Anyway, that pretty much does it for this video. Let's go ahead and see what the next album we are going to listen to in this book is. 1 to 1001. Generate. Ooh, we're going low with number 85. Number 85 is the next album, which is 85 being the Monkees' Headquarters. So 85 being the Monkees' Headquarters. So go ahead and listen to that. For exactly 1 week from now, I will be releasing the review for that one. And also this Friday, I will be releasing the review for Lauryn Hill's The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. If you like this video, please hit like, and if you also have something to say about this album and would like to add your own opinion, please leave it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And go ahead and subscribe and follow along in listening to every single album from the 1001 Albums to Listen to Before You Die book. And this has been Randy Joe, signing off. Itchy mosquito bite.